What up, boys and girls? There's a weird color on here, but outside of that, everything looks good. Let me make sure I'm going to pull everything up, all the channels. Hey. Sweet. What up, what up, what up? Yo, if you guys are live and direct, drop a comment. Let me see where you guys are at. I see a couple of y'all. I'm pulling up the platforms in the meantime, and then we'll rock and roll here in about a minute. So just introduce yourself in the chat. If you're here in the building, I would love to know where you're at, where you're tuning in from. I'm gonna get this thing popped up. Boom, boom. All right. Sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. All right, I think we should be good to roll. Let me just double check. Cool, almost. All right. What up, guys? All right, I'm just trying to get this thing going. My computer is being a little janky, but bear with me for a second, and then we'll be able to be rocking any moment now. Bam, that's good. Boom, that's good. Let me check something real fast. All right. Sweet. What up, everybody? How are you guys? Where are you tuning in from? Drop a quick comment. I think we are live and ready to rock and roll. I just want to see where y'all are at. Is my lighting looking all right? I think so. Whatever. Let me just double check. Sweet. I see a few of you guys over on LinkedIn. For whatever reason, the chat doesn't seem to be pulling in. I don't see if you guys are commenting anywhere right now. It just helps me. I want to make sure at least I'm coming through, that you guys are hearing me. I'm not just going to talk here by myself the whole time. So just give me a quick comment if you guys are on any of the platforms. And I'm just going to get rocking and rolling regardless. I appreciate y'all for being here. I'm excited to hit some dials and do a little bit of prospecting. In fact, before I get too far into dials or anything today, one of the things I wanted to cover this idea, right, which is ultimately, how many of you guys, just first of all, let me actually get a quick gauge. What lead gen channels are you guys currently using right now? So what are the lead gen channels that you guys are really using to be able to book more leads, to be able to book those appointments, and to be able to get the call volume and the opportunity volume that you need? So drop that in the comments. I would love to know what platforms you guys are using to book appointments. If you're catching this on the replay as well, drop a replay and also let us know which ones you guys are using. I have a handful of favorite ones, and obviously it's going to vary. I'm a big believer that the platform you should use is going to be dependent on the market that you're going into. And so each market will tend to have advantages and disadvantages in terms of platforms. So Ravi says he's using LinkedIn. What up? Thank you, Jennifer. I appreciate the compliment on the shirt. Mira, I've never heard of Mira. I'm not using Mira too much, so I'll have to dig into that. I appreciate the tip there. Any other platforms you guys are using? And so when I'm looking at platforms, I'm looking at the market that I'm going after. So that's the first thing. I always want to be able to make sure that the market that I'm going after is going to be the one, like the channel I'm using is going to be the one where my market hangs out. So a good example is like if I'm going after fitness people, a lot of times I'm going to use Instagram because fitness is heavily visual. And so, you know, the content shares better on Instagram, like workout related content works really well on Instagram. And so I just know that there's a lot of fitness professionals and a lot of trainers on Instagram. So if that's a market that I'm going after, I'm going to use Instagram. In the case of like if I'm targeting executives, I'm going to prefer to use LinkedIn a lot of the times. LinkedIn and Facebook, especially on Facebook ads and LinkedIn, that's where I can do the most sort of damage or get the furthest reach. If I'm selling some sort of like B2C biz op, then I want to be heavily on Facebook or Instagram, those types of traffic platforms, potentially YouTube too. So the way that I'm generating leads is going to adapt to the actual market that I'm serving. However, there's actually a core strategy, and the strategy itself doesn't change. It's the tactics that will change. But the core strategy that I use is something that's called diversified lead gen. And I have been in the mix where I've had my ad account shut down, I've had certain profiles blocked, I've had certain things where I couldn't get access to profiles anymore, I've had strategies we were using just completely die all of a sudden. And so as a result, I had spent a lot of time thinking about, you know, how do you avoid that moving forward? How do you best hedge and protect your lead sources? Because ultimately, if you don't have a consistent stream of leads coming in, it's hard to then get the consistent flow of appointments and sales that you need. And then everything else is more difficult when you don't have revenue coming in. When you do have revenue coming in, everything else is easier, right? So give me a fire emoji if you agree with that. And with that, I'm going to kind of break down a little bit more on diversified lead gen for you guys. I'm going to actually pull up my slides. I have a few little slides before we get into actually live prospecting here today. And I wanted to be able to kind of break down this idea for you guys of what it actually is. So what does diversified lead gen mean? How does it work? Why am I using it, right? I want to be able to break that down for you. So I'm pulling up the slides really fast, and then I will share my screen. All right, sweet. You guys, I'm about to share this. You should be able to see it in a second. Please give me a comment if you can see it. It will help a lot. Alrighty. Sorry, wrong slide deck. Wrong slide deck. Here, I think I found it. Yes. Sweet. Okay, so this is something I call the traffic trifecta or diversified lead gen. And let me just share this. Bing, boom, bang. All right, sweet. So this is a concept called the traffic trifecta, and this is something I spent a lot of time thinking about when it comes time to how to best design traffic systems. So there's a lot of people out there that say you should have one traffic source, one message, one market, one offer, and then do that for 1 year. And I agree with that, right? But I really don't think it should be one traffic source. It should be one traffic strategy, right? So I believe you should have one traffic strategy that you really consistently stick with. The question is then, what's that traffic strategy? And the balance is always between getting too complex, right? So you may have heard the old saying, complex fails, simple scales. Complex does fail. And the problem is we actually feel good when we build complex systems. It's really fun because it makes us feel smart, but it doesn't drive results. So we feel really smart, but we're not getting any results. And in the end, it ends up sucking, right? And I've been guilty of that. Like I've definitely gone on some wild goose chases, pursuing really complex systems that just never ended up fully materializing because I wanted to optimize too much, right? And so there's this idea, I kind of categorize people into two buckets. You have simplifiers and optimizers. So most entrepreneurs I've met tend to be, especially visionaries, tend to be optimizers. So they tend to get into business because they see a different way of doing something, and they see an opportunity that nobody else seems to be aware of. And so they tend to be able to find ways to optimize systems. But what gets them into business oftentimes will end up hurting them when they go to scale a business, because the simplicity of a business is what really helps it scale, and having a very clear, very clean value chain when you're creating a strategy. So my favorite traffic strategy is something called the traffic trifecta, and it involves 3 actual different traffic sources that we will select for a specific opportunity. So the first of which is outbound. And outbound can be done in a number of systems. So it could be heavily cold calling, it could be heavily cold emailing, it could be text messaging, it could be going out on different social media platforms like LinkedIn, Facebook, like going out and messaging people on Instagram. It doesn't really matter. It's just the fact that we're outbound engaging people. And then what you'll usually do with the outbound strategy is you'll actually develop a cadence, and you'll use a multi-channel strategy that tends to work the best. So, a lot of times we're using a combination of LinkedIn and email, or we're using a combination of Facebook and email. So there's different ways you can structure this, but outbound is one of the key components of this, right? Then the second piece is sideways. So when we're sideways prospecting, this is a little bit different, and most people, they'll have referrals coming in, and they know that their best clients come from referrals, but they haven't developed a way to strategically scale referrals. And that's what sideways prospecting does. It's a unique strategy that we actually created by taking some of the high leverage outbound stuff that we do, and then figuring out how to repurpose and change our presentation, change a little bit of the messaging, but go after strategic partners or people that might be able to send us good business, and just really starting to build up that buzz, build up that word of mouth, build up that reputation inside of the industry. Then the third component, which you guys probably already know, is inbound, right? So this is where we're running ads, we're getting leads coming to us, we're posting our organic content. There's a lot of different things that you can be doing with inbound, but you want to have some sort of traffic flow where people are finding you, they're discovering you, whether it's through paid or earned media or owned media, it doesn't really matter. But I want to have people discovering me through some way, shape, or form, and then coming in that way. So maybe this is SEO, maybe this is, doesn't matter. Whatever it is for you is really what you want to find. Now, the key is finding what's the mix for your opportunity or your business. That's really the traffic strategy. Because if, let's say, again, I'm going after executive recruiters, I might want to use then LinkedIn. And so my outbound is going to be heavy on LinkedIn and email, because that's where those people live. Versus if I'm going after, say, for example, I want to help, everyday people lose weight. Well, my outbound strategies are going to be catered more to Instagram and Facebook. And so we're going to adapt the actual channels that we're using for each of these approaches based on the market that we're going after. Same with sideways. So I'm going to pick the potential partners based on kind of how I understand the industry working and whatnot. What this does is then it allows me to target that approach to be able to get the best folks. And then lastly, the inbound approach, then I'm really going to pick 1 or 2 traffic channels and just nail those things. So for us, I love Facebook and Google. That's primarily where I play. I have a lot of our clients are doing a ton of stuff on inbound with SEO, or they're doing inbound with YouTube ads, and I love those strategies as well. They don't work as well for our market. So it's just knowing your market and then how to best tap into that. So this is the overall game when it comes to getting leads. Now I'm going to stop sharing my screen real fast, and I'm going to pop back in with y'all and see what come up for you guys as we went through all that. So let me double check here in the comments. Sweet, got a little fire coming out here on Facebook. Appreciate y'all. Anything come up for you as we went through that? I would love to know what kind of stands out to you based on what you're seeing there. The different traffic strategies, though, are major key. I want you guys to be able to really consider that as you guys are going in and picking the market that you want to serve. It's a major, major key there. So that's one of the things that I do. I run those plays, and what happens is, so yesterday, I got a fucking message from Facebook that, hey, your advertising access is disabled or something. And you know what? I don't even know what it is, and why I got that, but the cool thing is I know I got consistent lead flow coming in on other channels. So while it's an inconvenience for sure, it's not something that's gonna like completely screw me over, because I don't have all of my eggs in one traffic basket. And if I did, I would be freaking out right now. But fortunately, I don't. Fortunately, I'm diversified, and that's the beauty of diversified lead gen. I know I'm gonna get a solid number of referrals coming in every week. I know I'm gonna get a solid amount of outbound prospects coming in, and I know I got a couple other inbound channels going as well. So I know my mix, I know exactly kind of what I'm pulling from each audience, and it just helps me. I like to look at it like this, right? Traffic is really the game of arbitraging attention, or buying and selling advertising is really the game of arbitraging attention. So you find attention, you're able to turn that attention into value, and you're arbitraging attention. That's all the game of advertising or outreach or any of this stuff really is, right? So once you really understand how to arbitrage attention like that, then what occurs is you start to be able to have this nice kind of diversified flow across multiple channels, and you're constantly able to put the right message in front of the right person and be able to turn these people into qualified conversations and just take that system and scale it. So that's the beauty of this. I would love to learn what stood out for you guys as we went through all that, but that is a huge concept, right? So understand that traffic trifecta, figure out how to diversify your lead gen. You never want all your eggs in one basket. It's a risky proposition. I've seen way too many people be totally dependent on one traffic channel. When that traffic channel gets shut down, that's an ugly day, right? That's when they got to start firing their whole team or figuring out preparations, and they might be hemorrhaging a lot of cash flow. You don't want to find yourself in that situation, right? So you want to make sure you guys are diversifying your lead gen. So that's a major key. Sweet. Any questions for me on that before we get into actual calling and dialing? Any questions for me on the traffic trifecta, or how would you guys diversify your lead gen? I'd love to know how you guys are feeling out there right now. If you guys are feeling good, give me a heart or a fire emoji, or just some kind of like fuck yeah emoji. And then sweet. All right. We are ready to roll. Who wants to do some dials? You guys down to do some dials? Or should I do something a little bit different? You want to see the cold calls, or you want to do something a little bit different? I'm feeling a little spicy today. So if you guys are open to doing something else, I'd be open to that. But I'm down to also just pull up the dials and start ripping through it. So you guys tell me. In the meantime, I'm going to fix something that happened in my CRM. Weird. Okay. I got the CRM pulled up. So I did some cool stuff last week, by the way, with AI setters. And if you guys aren't toying with AI setters, I highly encourage you to do so. It's a lot of fun, and in doing so, I was able to set like 5 appointments off of like no effort. It was pretty rage. So I'm pretty pumped on what I'm doing with AI setters. I definitely encourage you guys to start playing with that stuff. All right, I'm gonna hit the dials. Let's do this thing. I got the CRM pulled up over here. I'm gonna get to my lists. Let's see what we got, if we got anybody loaded up from last week. Cool, we got actually a few people. We'll just start hitting the dials on these, and then I'll build another list after that. Let me know if you guys can hear the dials. Dang, I was hoping he was going to answer. Let me know if you guys hear the dials. Should be good, but...
Hello. hello, you have reached Eric Chen's phone number. Sorry that I didn't come to the phone right.
I don't know. It didn't look like a good opportunity.
To the EE voicemail. I'm sorry, but the person you...
Hello?
Derek! How you been, man? It's Mike.
Who's this?
It's Mike. What's new?
I'm not sure who this is.
It's Mike. You had reached out because you were looking to hire some commissioned sales reps for your agency. Oh, I gotta hang up. That's the first time I've been hung up on in like forever. Sweet. Oh, I feel so rejected and sad. What a horrible, horrible thing to happen to anybody. I hope nobody gets a hang up like that. So sad, dude. Boop, boop, boop. All right, let's find a good list to dial for you guys. We can get buku phone numbers, actually. Holy cow. Where are all these people coming from? Holy crap. Well, I have all these leads coming in. They're all from like Nigeria. Let's see. What? How do these people all find me? You know, when you get all the Nigerian leads coming in, that's a problem. Bro, these are so many new Nigerian leads. Wow. I gotta figure that out. So one thing that I always talk about as we do this stuff is like CRMs are, how do I describe it? It's like a thing you gotta like hygiene all the time, right? So there's weird little things that will happen and patterns and stuff in the data, and then you gotta kind of figure out like, oh, okay, because this is happening, how do I fix this? So one thing that I'm writing down here is I'm making a note because I changed my chat site widget, and like it's so crazy how like interrelated every little thing is. But I changed my chat site widget recently on the website, so I switched from the Drift chat site widget to Go High Level. I had signed up for Drift and I built a whole chat bot on it and whatnot, but I just didn't see the value. And so I canceled my Drift account and I ended up just starting to leverage the Go High Level one. And in doing that, like I've gotten a sudden fucking surge of like these Nigerian leads coming through, right? So my question is, plus 234 is the country code, and there's a couple other country codes that keep popping up too. So I want you guys to be aware of these country codes. But can I remove that from being able to submit on the chat site widget is my question. And so, it's just little things like that you guys, I want to encourage you guys to look at in the CRM when you guys are prospecting. Because it's like when you can do that, it will make your workflows a lot smoother and cleaner. And like, let's see, for example, right now I'm in the CRM. I have, let's see how many leads I have before, and then I'm going to filter out the Nigerian leads. So we have like 9,500 and some odd phone numbers. And then with the Nigerians, I got how many? So it is not plus 234. So I had 20. Interesting. And then, so like, the thing I want to also encourage you guys to do is when you're in your CRM, right? So smart list is one of the most important functions. You may have heard me say this like 100 fucking times if you've ever been on one of these things, but smart list, smart list, smart list, smart list, smart list, smart lists. Use smart lists. And I feel like most people just don't put the time in to develop their smart list lists, and they don't put the effort in that needs to be put in there. And so, I'm able to kind of, what I did was I just filtered for the opposite to see, okay, well, why the hell do I have so many Nigerian leads, and what's going on, right? So I haven't had like any Nigerian leads ever, and then I had 5 in 2022, right? And then after that, something started picking up around March, the tail end of March, where now, especially this month right now, I'm starting to see a lot more. So I'm having to double check if it has anything to do with the fact that, I'm going to compare it to Drift, look at the Drift data to see if Drift has a lot of Nigerian leads. And then if not, then I'm going to have to figure out how to potentially prevent them from coming into my CRM. And so this is just like a lot of the strategy, and I'm talking out loud what I'm thinking so you guys can understand the underlying strategy of what I'm trying to do with the CRM also when I'm prospecting. Because one part of what I'm doing is actually the workflows, but then another part of what I'm doing is figuring out optimizations and workflow tweaks to make the shit go even faster. So, if I potentially update my smart list now for the phone numbers to remove Nigerian leads, that's going to be a good idea, and that's going to set me up for making my prospecting efforts a lot more valuable. So, That's cool. Someone said that they got hung up on and they called back on the person, and that the person ended up being a huge deal. Normally, in my case, whenever that happens, I just move on to the next one. I don't have a lot of time for chasing people around unless they're huge deals and I'm doing like account-based marketing, which is a totally different game. I like account-based marketing a lot. It's really fun. You don't have room for no's, but it's a totally different game. So I hope you guys learned something about the smart list, and I hope you guys are implementing it. Let me actually just double check with you guys. Give me like a thumbs up if you guys have been using smart lists after attending one of these calls and you've been putting it into practice. And if you have been using smart lists as well, I want to know like what have you been doing and what are the results that you're seeing from using smart lists and understanding how to better filter your CRMs into contacts. And that's what I want to hear from you guys. So please drop that in the comment while I keep rolling over here. But the smart list piece, man, I've said this so many times on all of these calls back to back to back to back. It's really what I want to drive home for y'all, because if you guys start using the smart list, it will completely change your workflows and change everything. Cool. I'm going to check something over here real fast. Yeah, and the other thing is like just learn your CRMs, you guys. Like read the documentation on the CRM. I know it seems boring, but like when you read the documentation on the CRM, it will allow you to work so much fucking faster. Huh. All right. I could probably build a workflow for it, but it may not even be worthwhile. So there's only 20 of them, and they're starting to come through. But so, and that's the thing. I want to be on the cut. I want to be like right there. So these things have started to come through on like the last. These things have started to come through in the last week or so, right? And when I see them coming through like that, I want to be ahead on the curve so I can fix these problems and I don't have to get caught dealing with a bunch of dumb stuff. So anyway, we're gonna go back into phone numbers and we're gonna hit some dials again. Let's see. Boom. Probably only put about 50 in. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to do something a little bit different than dials. I'm going to do some AI sets, and while I'm going to set up the AI sets, I'm going to chill here, and I'm going to just kind of game through some of the conversation workflows with you guys. So I try not to share into the CRM too much because there's a lot of like private, obviously personal data that with privacy and everything, I don't want to be putting this stuff out there in public. But I'm going to set up some AI sets, and then let's see how it rolls with that. So this actually... Which one did I use the other day? There was. That's a crazy thing. Crazy, man. With AI sets, so to give you guys an example, it looks like I just trying to double check. I think I sent 150 messages last week and ended up booking like 5 appointments off of it, if I remember correctly. Yeah, I don't know. I'm trying to find. No, it looked like that didn't work right. Oh, that's why. Oh, okay. Hold on. Yeah, okay, sweet. Cool. Someone, I'm checking out the chat real fast with you guys too. Someone said, depending on the offer, I think seeing numbers from Nigeria or Africa is relative since you may hit some great opportunities. Testament, I got a UK-based digital marketing company who enrolled 3 big clients from South Africa and Tanzania. So I think one should keep an open mind to this. I definitely agree with that. I'm pretty aware of whenever the domain looks good, and I do kind of filter heavily on stuff like that. So if I look at the site and the site looks like it makes sense, then I am open-minded, especially in because I've had great combos with people in Africa and whatnot. I just tend to encourage you guys to try to be as selective with your time and also try to filter stuff out. So that way you just have your systems better designed. Let's see what else. So I'm thinking about doing SMS sets right now. My challenge is sometimes, and this is where I have to admit my failure today. I didn't do as good of a job of prepping this. So I'd been doing a few things last week, and they're working really well. And I'd built out a couple new things, and this is where fucking the complexity of changing stuff gets so frustrating because I built out some really cool stuff. It's working really well, but it's not, how do I say it? It's not totally clean, and there's some stuff that overlaps with other workflows, and then that's where these workflows conflicting lead you. So sometimes it's just like simplify your shit, and this is where it goes back to what we talked about at the beginning, the balance between simplification and optimization. So I tend to over optimize shit big time. I know it. I have to ask Adriana, my wife, to come through and like just start stripping out systems and stuff, because she tends to be a simplifier. So she could take, if I have a 5-step system, she can turn it into a 2-step system. Or like if I have something that's 10 steps, she can make it 4 steps. And as a result, the systems work way better because they're much smaller and cleaner and faster. So I want to encourage you guys to kind of take that same mindset as well when you guys are designing your own systems or your own workflows, to ask like, how can I simplify the system? What steps can I remove from the system? If I had to cut it down to only 2 or 3 steps, what would the 2 or 3 steps that I'd leave would be? Those types of questions are the things I want to encourage you guys to ask, because those types of questions are going to be the ones that will help you really lock in and figure out, what's going to be the most reliable, what's going to be the cleanest system for you as you guys are doing that. So let's see what else we got. All right, I'm gonna set up I'm gonna just basically, here's what's gonna happen, you guys. I'm gonna babble for the rest of the time while I set up a SMS set with AI stuff, and then I want you guys to get a feel for how easy it is, and I'll be reporting back the results and kind of talking through the conversations as we do. And I want you guys to get a sense for this. So just so everyone knows too, I get this question all the time whenever I do AI sets. What CRM do I use, or what am I using for SMSs? Everything's done through Go High Level. So what I did was I built a Go High Level for our clients that's customized, and it uses all the plays that we run. And so basically I can just copy and paste and install all our plays into a client CRM like that. It's made things a lot easier, but I use Go High Level for our SMS and for our setting, and I tend to like that the most. So let me just figure out, I'm gonna do this. Cool. So what I'm doing is I have a pre-built workflow that I use for this stuff. I'm copying it over into a new campaign. Okay, so I got my workflow copied. I'm going to move it into the right folder over here. And then I have one more workflow to copy. And then we should be ready to roll almost, I think. Let's copy that. All right. I'm going to move you guys. So what I'm doing is actually, and I've been updating some of my systems over the past week to simplify things. And so I'm updating my systems in real time with you guys. So it's cool that you guys get to see how this works. Like this. Well, that's kind of cool, actually. Boom. All right, sweet. Naming conventions too, you guys, are so mind-blowingly annoying but important. Like, if you fuck up your naming conventions or you get your naming conventions right, it makes such a big difference in how easy it is for everything. So I'll give you an example a little bit too, what I mean by that. I had a naming convention for a while on some of our folders in the CRM and some of the workflows, and they would just be words, right? And so what happened was it just turned into a mess, and everything was getting sorted alphabetically, and it just didn't make sense. So what I did inside of our CRM was I started to use numbers for our smart list, specifically started at like 01, 02, 03, 04, 05. And I started to do the same thing with our automations and our folders and stuff like that. And so just by designing a naming convention that had 01, 02, 03, 04, and kind of understood what the different components of it meant, it makes it way easier to navigate the CRM. So another thing is, like with some of our stuff, I like to copy and paste a set template, but I use a unique one for each actual broadcast. And so because I like to change the verbiage just a little bit for each broadcast. And so when that happens, then what I can do is I can basically name these in a dated system, right? So it's like, oh, April blank blank this, you know. And so by changing the names to where it's the dates, now again it's just so much easier where everything's in order, right? So it's based on April 11, 2023, and then as a result now I have the month, day, year, and all my shit is in order, and it just makes it so much better when I'm looking at my systems, and it makes it also easier for me to delegate. So this is part of the key of why I'm telling you all this stuff too, is it makes it easier for me to delegate. And then because it's easier for me to delegate, then it makes it easier for me to review the work of the person who I'm delegating to. So just by doing this, it makes a big deal of a difference in terms of my workflows overall. And if you guys are not using SMS for your sets, you heard me, I think last week say it. Maybe it was on one of our internal coaching calls. But I was beating that horse again and again and again. You just get SMS sets. Like if you're not using SMS to set appointments and whatnot, you're seriously messing up. Seriously messing up, right? So use SMSs to set your appointments. It will make your life a heck of a lot easier. So that's that. Now let me think through. I'm going to think through this for a second, and then I'm going to explain what I just thought through. So bear with me. If you have any questions in the meantime, I would say put the questions in the chat in the meantime as I'm thinking through this stuff. And then I'll probably send the blast here in another minute or two. So what do I want to... Okay. Cool. So what I'm doing right now is I'm pulling up, I like to design cadences. And so I have different types of cadences as well. So there's an outbound cadence, there's inbound cadence, there's a broadcast cadence. So cadences are massively important for you guys to be able to hit your targets. And so basically the difference between each of these cadences, on a broadcast cadence, this is just to leads in our database, right? So these are people who have been kind of sitting there. Maybe they opted in a year ago. Maybe they've been opted in a couple years ago. Maybe they're even clients that are inactive. Who knows what they are, right? But these are going to be people in the database who are just sitting there. Then our inbound cadence and our outbound cadence. So the outbound cadence is going to be when you're actually reaching out to leads proactively and you're doing prospecting. And then your inbound cadence is going to be when you have leads coming inbound. What's the typical journey that you are using in order to communicate and get them to book appointments, right? So having very clearly defined cadences is a major component of having a predictable sales system. If your cadences are not predictable, your sales will not be predictable. Also, if your cadences are not predefined and simple, it makes it just constantly frustrating and annoying. And so you're going to find yourself just running all over the place, and it's just not a heck of a lot of fun. So, all right. I know exactly now what I'm doing because I went and I looked at my cadence. I'm going to save this guy. Boom. I'm going to save this guy. I'm going to go... Gotta delete this piece. Ooh, that's a good idea. Bam. All right. So basically what I'm doing right now, you guys, is I'm setting up an automated SMS that's going to broadcast, and then if they say yes or no based on their response, I'm going to then either give them the lead magnet or potentially engage in a conversation. So that's basically what I'm setting up right now. I'm just pulling up the content to make sure I'm doing it and I got what I need here. But it looks like I should be good to go. Okay, so I'm gonna read out my message to you guys. It just is super simple. I'm sending a 2-step right now. And so it's gonna say, hey John, just recorded a case study with a client who scaled from 30K a month to 100K a month in 3 months. Want me to send it over to you? Parentheses. This is Mike with Coaching Sales, by the way. Right? Boom. That's it. That's so super simple. So I'm gonna save that. Now I gotta get the response set up, and then I should be ready to roll on that. Boom. Cool part is while we were live, I even had an appointment book in, which is kind of sweet. That's automated systems that work there, baby. 2-step, sweet. All right, I am almost good to go to send this thing out. How are you guys feeling? You guys learning anything today? Thank you. I got a compliment on my sick ass Hawaiian. Thank you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you. What has stood out to you guys so far, especially because we're kind of getting towards the tail end? So what stood out to you guys today? Is there anything that you've learned, anything that you can take and implement in order to be able to hit your goals? What did you learn? That's what I want to know. Lastly, I'm going to get this guy over here set up. Okay. Boom. All right, I think I'm good to go. I set up my 2-step. Everything's looking straight. All right, I think we're good. Boom. So it took me like probably 10, 15 minutes to set this up. That's basically what it took. And we are now good to go. So I've got that. I'm just going to get the final touches to the workflow set up. And then I'm going to test it on myself, and then I'll send it out, and I'll report back as well what the results were on it. Boom. All right, I think I'm good. Sweet, so we are all set. I'm gonna enroll myself and just make sure it works, and then I'm gonna send this bad boy out. Heck yeah. So, said trifecta was on point, and attitude after the hangout was great too. Not easy to brush it off sometimes. You know, I don't know. I find it easy. I just don't take it personally, you know? I don't take it personally. It's more a reflection of them than it's a reflection of me. And that's the mindset I want you guys to be able to take on when you guys have those types of situations. Is it's a mind flow of I mean, it's more a reflection of them. It's not a reflection of you. So don't take that stuff seriously too much, you guys. It's not worth it. It's just not worth your time. It's not worth your energy to take that stuff too seriously. I'm gonna make sure I'm like guilty of this a lot, you guys, but I don't test my workflows before I run them, and then I run them to a lot of people, and then I look like a dumbass. So I encourage you guys, don't do what I do. Test your workflows. It just makes your life a lot easier. You don't have to mess up as much. So let's see how we got going over here. Boom. Sweet. Sick. This thing's gonna work. It's beautiful. All right. I am going to launch this thing. What I'll do for y'all is I will pop back in on the video, and I'm going to comment on the video what I end up getting in terms of results off of this set. I would love for you guys to see it, and I'll even potentially give you guys maybe, well, I'll just do that. I'll comment. If there's anything else that you guys want to know, just reply to me in the comments there, and then I'll make sure I come back a little bit later in the week and I double check on it. And Appreciate you all for tuning in as always. If you guys are looking to take your high ticket sales to the next level, whether you're a salesperson or a business owner, just go to scalewithmikemark.com. There's an application form there. You can fill out any information. That will then give me what I need to know to understand what products to recommend or what offers might make sense. From there, happy to have a chat, answer any questions y'all got, and then we will go from there. So that's it for this week. I super appreciate y'all for tuning in. And I hope you guys got a lot out of me breaking down some of the different set alternatives. I know it's a little bit weird when I'm not able to show over the shoulder and actually doing it inside of the computer. So maybe I'll do one another time if you guys are really interested, and you guys can put that in the chat if you're interested. You can put that in the chat here, or if you're catching on the replay, please as well. But if you're interested in seeing me kind of take more of a skeleton account that doesn't have a lot of private data in it and share what it looks like when I'm setting up some of these things, I would consider doing that. So let me know if you guys want to see that in the comments. And that's it for this week. Love you guys. As always, I appreciate y'all, and rock your weeks. Close some deals, change some lives, make some money. Peace.